So part 2 should have been finished by now, and the reason for that, or why it hasn't been finished, is because of him. And he is, he's got a lot to answer for, this man. Okay. And of course Leicester made a fortune out of Richard III, but this man has delayed the Viking project. This is different from other Viking projects because it's focused on surnames. It's very specific. It gets behind the movements of populations over the last few hundred years, so quite different from the other ancestral studies that have been undertaken in the British Isles. And just to finish off, this is the epilogue, which brings us back to Magnus Magnusson again. Remember, I showed you that picture of the statue from Haugesund in Norway, and I mentioned there was people, we were working getting control data from Norway to compare our samples from the northwest. One of the guys helping us recruit volunteers from Norway was this enthusiast here, Sigurd Åse, who's very prominent in the historical societies there, but he's a billionaire. He's one of these Richard Branson types. Don't these guys look the same, don't they? These millionaires look a similar sort of appearance, and he's got tons of money. And he paid Decode in Iceland a few years ago to do a whole DNA test. He paid £4,000 for the test, and the result came back saying things like he had a 70% chance of having blonde hair. Okay, now look in a mirror. That's of course £4,000, but he is an enthusiast. And we were sitting, after we've been doing the testings, we were sitting in a restaurant in Haugesund, which he owned. We stayed at a hotel which he built near the Marilyn Monroe statue, which he commissioned. And then he said, actually, we're building this Viking ship. Oh, really? When this thing is built, how about bringing it down to the northwest? Because we've got lots of England, lots of heritage there. Why don't you bring it down to us when it's finished? He said, yeah, sure. And so this came out, and there was also some folks from Largs that caught wind of this. So the plan was that when this vessel was complete, it would come over the top of Scotland, Orkney, Shetlands, come down towards the Irish Sea, stop at Largs, and then come to Merseyside, to Wallasey Pool, where folks could have a chance to row this vessel. So we all, as part of the preparation, trained this navy of volunteers, working with local boat clubs like Liverpool Victoria Boat Club, and also some folks in East Midlands with Loughborough Boat Club. Very enthusiastic. To take part in this, you had to do this course or be a proven oarsman to be able to row this vessel. Anyway, it was launched in 2012. It's appeared on a postage stamp in Norway. It's huge. It's 35 metres. It's almost half the length of a football pitch. Requires, when rowed, 100 oarsmen, 50 men on each side, 2 men or women to an oar. Now, the plan was for this to come down in 2013, but unfortunately there were delays and things, and they were very apologetic. So we got this email from Sigurd saying, well, why don't you come over to Norway and row it along the coastline here? We can't bring it across to England and Scotland yet, but you can come over here and row it. So he paid for us to go across. He paid for the hostel accommodation for us to stay out. We brought this group across, and we had a great time. Weather was fantastic. It was like a mill pond, like here in Largs. And so we spent 2 or 3 days rowing this marvellous ship. And you can see it's a bit ragged. This is actually Giles Christian who came with us. Giles Christian is quite a famous author of Viking novels, Odin's Raven and Blood Eye and things. You might have read these. Look how ragged it is. Now, when we tried rowing this thing, the distance between the oars is based on the Osberg and Gokstad ships. So we were bumping into each other. It was just a mess. And then if we took 3/4 strokes, it was fine. So we didn't take the full stroke. To take 3/4 strokes, we got some rhythm. We actually got a good speed with this thing. So why were we rowing like this? So 2 reasons. two possible reasons. Either the style of rowing was different in the Viking Age, or they were smaller. That's right. These guys were shorter. That can be the only explanation of that. Nowadays, we are, on average, much taller people. So we can even have as yours truly here. It's possible to row it very slowly. Look at this lazy lot here taking pictures. What a rotten lot. So you could row it singly, but yeah, great fun. And then they tried to bring it over to the UK in 2014, but disaster struck because the mast broke off when it was offshore of the Shetlands. And luckily it didn't kill anybody, it just fell straight into the sea. Now, rather than go back, they decided to bring it down the Caledonian Canal, powered by an authentic Viking motor, just on board for health and safety. We would rather actually have gone back because it came into Merseyside, it bypassed logs, it came into Merseyside, crippled. And we had it for 2 weeks. It's supposed to be for display and rowing and things, but instead it was just being repaired by Karmøy shipyard. So a new mast was obtained from Dumfriesshire. It was a Douglas fir tree, and it was built as solid as a rock. So now it's fine, and it reached America, I think, in July. Although disaster there struck because it was supposed to go to the Tall Ships Festival in Chicago, but they found they had to pay £50,000 for the rights to go through the waterways and things, so they decided to sail back instead. So fingers crossed, hopefully it will come back to Britain next year and maybe come to logs. We've got to find the guy who was we were communicating with. Someone said it was someone called Harry. So that would be nice to bring for next year's Viking festival, perhaps, and also bring it to Merseyside. This is where there's a nice end to the talk, because Karmøy in Norway, the Isle of Alvaldsnes, is where we were doing the rowing as part of the Viking festival there, but it's also the site of St Olav's Church, and this is a very famous church, and it's been built on the site of an old pagan site for worship, and the stones here, which once belonged to the pagan site of... Anyone been to this? Anyone been to the Karmøy Viking festival? Yes, so you've probably seen this. It's really atmospheric, isn't it? But Harken the Old Harken Who by Magnus Magnusson, the first Harken Harkenson lecture, was commissioned by the very Harken the Fourth of Norway, Harken the Old Harken Harkenson. So it's quite nice having done this and learn. I didn't know this until I read this splendid book, that this was the site of his church. So not only is he famous for the Battle of Logs, but also other things as well. Thank you for your attention. It's been a great honour.